Hello. We are entering 2026 strong. We're going to go to gym. We're going to go have good food. Apple is doing the exact same thing for Siri yet again for third year in a row. We are hearing about the latest partnership that Apple is going after. And by partnership, I really mean they're just trying not to fumble the bag, because in the tech CEO's world, if you don't have an AI product to sell to people, you are just not beating the competition. You know, just ask Microsoft for the latest trend being Microslop on Twitter/X. Oh man, that's hilarious. And I was debating making a video on that, but you've already seen that. You know what I'm talking about. Just go back through the log. Microslop has been going on in my world for way longer than 2026. Anyway, Tim Cook is getting ready to cook something again with the latest partnership. By the way, it turns out that OpenAI and Apple do still have a relationship. I didn't realize this, by the way. I actually thought that it was going to be the exclusive relationship and that Tim Cook was going to just cook with OpenAI. No, it turns out it's going to be, Siri is going to be using multiple models. Now, why did Siri not able to pause my alarm this morning when I asked it to just shut the fuck up? I can't tell you, but apparently Google is here to save the day. It's really funny that Tim Cook is now turning to Gemini, or should I say Google, who was the major fumbler on the AI front. Well, I guess it was second best, because the Siri promises that were quietly shadow banned last summer are still hilarious. But yeah, Google has, showed up in the ranks. Gemini's reported great. I guess it helps when you have a ton of money and you can throw at people and just produce something that's good enough, but it's disgustingly cheap. I guess you will buy good favor from people. And I think this is what's going on with Apple too, considering that the deal, and mind you, this is all very just early announcement. Who even knows if this thing is actually going to go through? But considering that both the companies announced this jointly, I'm hoping it's going to happen. But let's remember that in the blessed year of our Lord, 2024, iOS was being sold as the privacy first mobile phone. So we're going to have Google, the biggest tracker. Okay, incredible. Basically, Apple has said, listen, we kind of fumbled the bag initially because we couldn't be a cool tech CEO without having a nice AI product in front of us. But now that the dust is starting to settle a little bit, it seems like the losers are starting to consolidate. I am not only talking about Microslop starting to first up trend, but also going and partnering up with Anthropic and doing their whole thing. That's a completely different story to this. But it seems like now Apple is also going in the direction of we're just going to consolidate. And it looks like they're going to be consolidating with Gemini. Now, we heard about this first last year around November. The news broke that Apple was, the news broke. It was really, please buy the new iPhone. We were going to be getting AI into it for sure very soon. Don't worry, it's not going to be just summarization of your texts. Looks like Apple is indeed going for the direction of, looks like everybody's starting to fumble the bag, so we're just going to go with everybody and hedge our bets. Interestingly enough, there's multiple theories around why this is happening the way it is happening, because the Gemini partnership announcement is being framed as we're going to be using all of Google's technology here. First off, that's incredibly fucking scary, because Google is already using all of its technology to spy on its users and train its models through the spying that they're doing. But on the other hand, it's actually very interesting, because what happened with OpenAI? Considering none of these deals have actually hit actual Siri, or at least I've not noticed any difference, it's going to be interesting to see where we're actually headed with this. The deal itself is actually described as almost a white label approach, which, if you don't know, white labeling means that one company is selling its product with white label to another company, and the other company is going to slap on its name on top of the product that they've bought or licensed. And the theory here is that Apple is going to be white labeling Gemini behind the scenes to power Siri. Now, this is a little bit of a contradiction considering what we've read from previous news articles and how things have been communicated to us in the past, which has been that this is going to be a choice of models. So how are you going to be white labeling the models if you're not going to be able to decide who is it from? And also reportedly, Apple will be paying a measly $1 billion per year for the ability to move Gemini models into their servers and essentially run it from their private cloud. Very interesting approach. Definitely nothing new considering this has been going on. Like the ability for models to be shared and to be made private and stuff like that has been is not new at all. And there's plenty of companies that have used this kind of approach where they sign a big deal and then the models are hosted inside of a company's private network, and the model itself is isolated from the internet, i.e. it can be used for training. So any data collected through it it cannot be used for training, but it can obviously be used to spy on co-workers. Quite an interesting approach because both companies are trying to build a strategic moat between themselves, being industry leaders with a huge bank account, and they do not want to be left behind the new kids on the block. But let's be honest, where are the little private AI model companies going? Anthropic is almost likely going to get bought out by Amazon, or at least that's the current market theory. But considering their closeness with AWS, the fact that they were the first to go into AWS for the longest time, and then OpenAI partnering with Microsoft, but then that partnership kind of falling apart. Anthropic also has positioned themselves nicely in the middle and targeting developers, but Claude Code restricting its key use. Like there's a ton of drama on those fronts. The point is that those are the two big companies that are competition, but how are they actually competition to Apple or Google? I can't really tell you, man. I do not see what the big CEOs are seeing here. And considering that the public feeling of AI negativity is continuing to grow, and Jensen has recently started talking about how how being AI negative is very negative for the stock value, which is incredibly fucking funny. It's just the public is here, the companies are there. Where the fuck are we going, man? Dude, I don't get it. I don't get it. And the fact that Google has initially started with just a mega fumble with Gemini, and now they're calling the ambulance for the other guy. I guess it's a measly investment. One be here or there. You know what I mean? Like these guys are losing more money paying the bills to run their power centers up. You know what I mean? Like it's basically nothing. So the fact that they are giving Gemini to Apple for this little money, and limitations of the deal and exactly how it will be incorporated are not really mentioned. But I don't really trust Google. To be honest, my trust in Apple has dropped significantly as well over the years. But Google especially, I just don't trust to not make this a data harvesting exercise. Maybe it's just a publicity, maybe they're just paying for advertisements, but man, I don't see it. I don't see it. Even though the news was so wishy-washy, Apple was pushing very hard to make sure and explain that this is a privacy-first approach. And this is quite new for Gemini and Google in general. So we'll see what actually ends up happening. It's just funny to me how news cycles are spun every year in the direction that we are supposed to think. Let's not forget the value of privacy. Let's not forget that Google has turned around and fucked all of its users so many times. Public voice does matter, even though the public might not own as much money or be worth as much money to these companies. These companies make their worth through the users. I guess I'm advocating for please keep your mind open and keep your eyes peeled. And yeah, there is a lot of news coming out. My advice to you is just stick to the ones that matter to you most. If this matters to you, like and subscribe. And I'll talk to you next time. Bye.